What a good atmosphere. So excited.
Yes, it's great. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's the most exciting moment of my life. There's 8 things. And the first one's a Catalina, and it's a Lancaster. I just get it that the army truck goes in the plane, and then they'll go down and drop it off.
Yeah.
啊，我想要看驾驶，我想要看表演。大伙这样的驾驶飞机你看不清楚。One of the new multi-role.
Yep, that's it.
There's one moving over there. One comes in that.
I've seen the client and mate, it opened the they opened the door and then it flew across with the red arrows on the side. I wonder if that's how they'll finish it today. They may as well. The red arrows are there.
Now they sit. Well, yeah, sometimes they can stand, or they can sit. That's bad.
Dad, look.
Hard to explain all in one go, but basically what we need to do is grab a bit of solder here. There's solder. What solder? You're going to melt it and then it's going to connect the resistor to the circuit. So this is just soldering iron. Hold it like a pen. Cut it out the leg here. Now soldering with solder iron.
Based on the context, hopefully inspire and motivate the children to take on these subjects.
Your way to work?
We're being run, finding the option to travel up and down the country from Scotland all the way down to London, trying to make science and maths fun, which we need to take on and have a hands-on learning experience.
If you do feel a bit ill, a little under the weather, just ask any of the officials around the site. The medics are all in marked cars and they're wearing their green uniforms. We can cope with virtually anything you can throw at us, but we'd rather you didn't throw too much at the same time. But we do have the facilities, which are here, and they've been working here prior to the show, during the show, and they will be here in the breakdown week. It's amazing how quick the chalets get dismantled, and the magnificent stands. Streamed on the Airshow radio, FIFM, and down the line with Global.
Dangerous stuff? Right, Gina, they're making a circuit, and it's going to...
So the blade's not due to take off yet for a couple of minutes. Flight Global. The blades getting airborne. They're going to go down to the south to hold. Successfully during the week, and will be continuing to do so in the public days. Down on the left, the Lapton's End plane of this new Queen of the Skies. What an impressive sight, and this will be a stunningly impressive display by the world's largest airliner. For the flight regime which wrote today,
That's quiet. Wow. That is impressive.
How about that for a departure and climb away? As I say, the engine's available on the 380. You can depend on the customer really well, but you can have 400 up to 800 passenger seats. A380 is an essential part of the solution to sustain growth, doing more with less. That's the right. Just across the skies. Virgin course just a couple of weeks down to this, the largest airline in the world. Over 6 million passengers have already enjoyed the unique experience of flying on board the all-new 380. All 3 decks, including the cargo and the baggage holds, full of ping-pong balls. How many ping-pong balls would you get in? And I want you to tell the person next to you how many you think, and I will give the answer soon. So all 3 decks, including the cargo and the baggage holds, how many ping-pong balls? Now how about that for a slow flyby? It is an extraordinary sight. A week ago, Singapore Airlines took delivery of its 7th Airbus, simultaneously with Lufthansa delivering their 2nd. This year, more than 10 of these mega airlines have already been delivered. Impressive or what? You don't normally get that close to an airliner. Not unless you're boarding it. Fantastic. Adrian will go to the far end of the runway where we have a turning circle. And down by the British Airways Airbus. Blades are just about to run in. Oh, and it's 35. Blades have arrived in manta formation. They'll pull up for the manta loop, and blades 1 and 2 are in the middle, and blades 3 and 4 are on the outside. Straight up the manta loop into bar formation. All the blades pilots former red arrows. The red arrow's mantra is the art of precision. But our mantra at the blades is to create a little bit of order. We'll perform an aileron roll whilst the trailing aircraft will perform a barrel roll. So if you're looking on the left and the right, watch out for the barrel roll and the aileron roll. There we go. Straight towards each other for a double cross. Now once the outside 2 aircraft, they'll snap roll away. I'll draw your attention to the middle 2 aircraft as they fly upwards and fly backwards through their own smoke, all in formation. Manoeuvre, and they do that so they don't fly out in front of each other's guns when they're doing dogfighting. They'll fly up the rear there and rejoin the formation. This year the blades, the partnership with the Wings Appeal is very, very important, and the Wings Appeal has got an iconic Wings logo, and they're all on the bottom of each of our aircraft. And as they come around the bend here in box formation, it's a really good opportunity to see that Wings Appeal logo. Good one for the cameras. This one's called the box bend. Blade 1 and 2. Blade 1 this year is Miles Garden. This is his 2nd year on the blades. The Royal Air Force, he was a Harry pilot, had 3 years with the Red Arrows, and his last year led the synchro pair. He served in Iraq, Kosovo, and also Afghanistan, where he was mentioned in dispatches. Blade 2, Andy Offer, one of the most distinguished display pilots of the Royal Air Force. He displayed the Jet Provost. Now back into the box formation, we'll move into the next part, 2nd half of our display, pulling up for a loop. This one's called quarter cone, and I'll get to the top and head into the next manoeuvre of chaos. This one will look really pretty with the blue sky. This one's called the fan brake. Now watch the outside 2 aircraft as they pull up. Blade 2 on the left, Blade 3 on the right. Blade 3 is Andy Evans. He was a Jaguar pilot. He too in the Red Arrows. Quarter turn the aircraft, stalling a wing before they'll snap roll to head down the crowd line again. And listen to the engine whir and work as they come down, all in unison and all in formation. Now remember earlier on I said Blade 4 will be back for some more solo flying. Well, he's going to take centre stage here. Blade 4 flying away from us. He'll pull up down the end of the runway. They're coming into plain view now. This is the Boeing B-52 long-range bomber, powered by 8 turbofans, around about 17,000 pounds of thrust. Pratt & Whitney supplying these. Total internal fuel capacity over 174,000 litres. You have external fuel tanks. Range of the aircraft in excess of 10,000 miles. Single pass then from your left. Manned by a crew of 5, comprising of a pilot, co-pilot, navigator, radar navigator, and ECM operator. At high level cruise speed, Mach 0.77. Maximum speed at altitude is just shy of the speed of sound, Mach 0.9. Service ceiling up at 55 grand. Airborne to hold. For a few minutes, the Catalina now lining up. Internal hull tanks. Here she comes. You won't, alas, see the wing floats being deployed. They've had a lot of use this year, around about 60 water landings, and they need a little bit of a maintenance engineering on it, so they're preserving the use and cycling of the tip tanks, water floats.
Just in front of us, there's a great row of speakers.
63, so we're going into Kenting Aviation of Toronto.
Okay, right. See you in a bit. Yes.
By Tim Manor in November 01, and a long-term restoration to get a flight. And 738 squadrons in various carriers, Farnborough, Albion, Bourg. 71 was transferred to Halton as a ground instruction airframe, transferred to Culdrose as a ground runner in 76, very hot summer, used to train carrier deck personnel. Down to the historic flight at Yeovilton in 82, where British Aerospace is overturned there, gave her a complete strip and rebuild at their factory at Dunsmore. Seagull going back into the roost on the south side. You want to have a closer look. You want to know where they're parking up. The left-hand side down by the Lancaster, where the Seafar's going. Of course, the Vulcan village. is still open. Have a look around the exterior side of the Vulcan, the Farnborough Vulcan. The Soldiers, Sailors, Airborne and Families Association is the official charity of Farnborough International this year. Support our troops. The Breitling Aerospace watch, which is worth around about £2,700. It only cost you $5. Just remind you, while we have a short gap, now's probably the time to use your phone if you want to get in that competition to fly with the blades, helping the wings of Hill. 70007 is the number to text wings to. And we will be an unforgettable day with the blades. You don't have to do all the aerobatics that you saw. Backtracking the runway. Linea Aeronautica. So we're ahead of schedule in the show. We try to keep as much as possible to time because we have a number of items that are coming in and going out to other displays around the country, where we had something like 3,000 youngsters join us and have a look at what the aerospace industry has to offer for them, and indeed has to offer for you. But rolling now, shortly to get airborne, this is the C-27 Spartan. How about that? First climb directly after airborne. Not a lot of speed on the clock and straight into quite a steep climbing turn. Accelerating to 90 degrees from the runway. See, for military roles, since its original design, it's a unique, true tactical military airlifter in its class. It can carry troops, supplies, vehicles, equipment, injured personnel, as well as airdrop paratroopers and materials. In the troop transport configuration, up to 60 troops can be carried. Paratroopers airdropping configuration, up to 46 paratroopers airdropping from both lateral doors and the rear ramp. Positioning now for a steep descent. So very shortly, stick being pushed forward, and you're going to see the top surface of this transport aircraft. Push all the way and keep pushing. Now that is a plummet. It's not a descent, it's a plummet really. Very dramatic, isn't it? From that straight into a very tight 360-degree turn, keeping nicely within the airfield display boundary. Minimum radius turn. Medevac configuration, 36 stretchers with 6 medical attendants can be carried. All the manoeuvrable capabilities of this aircraft, and here you go. Move to this, push to that. Don't worry about the load master down the back, it'll stop bouncing around eventually. Pull, push, kick and rudder, yawing around the sky.
Amazing.
Short takeoff and landing capabilities, positioning ground for a steep approach with a short landing. Rolls-Royce Allison engines. Doughty supplying the 6-bladed propellers, as Rolls-Royce Allison's producing over 4,600 shaft horsepower. The takeoff run, 580 metres, and the landing roll at the maximum landing weight, 340 metres. So coming in now for shortly a steep approach, stand on the brakes, whack the props into reverse thrust, and we may even get a bit more reversing down the runway. From Linea Aeronautica, the C-27J, Spartan. That's a quick stop. Standard M346 took to the air a couple of years ago in July. Its public debut was here at Farnborough when it appeared in a static display. This aircraft was significantly more advanced than the prototypes, with the use of composites being increased from 12 to 20% and a 30% reduction in parts. helping to achieve a weight saving of over 1,100 pounds, which of course gives you much more performance on the underside of the fuselage. The addition of leading edge root extensions and wing fences designed to give excellent controllability and high angle traction. Design features means that the type can exploit vortex lift rather than losing lift to the ground. And again, you will see a very short takeoff and a startling climb. Hercules entered service with the United States Air Force, the Tactical Air Command, way back, 1956. This particular version of Herc that you're seeing out on the runway is the J, the type that entered service with the Royal Air Force Transport Fleet. Starting the takeoff run now. The very latest version of the Hercules, the Herc J. Up, short takeoff, steep climb. Idea of that is if you've got enemy forces with small arms fire surrounding a strip, rough strip or an airfield you're operating out of, you don't want to stay low and do a conventional departure or indeed a conventional arrival. It can shift at about 350 knots, 2,100 foot a minute rate of climb at sea level. And at the max all-up weight of 147,000 pounds, the service ceiling is just over 30,000 feet. And you go down the other end of the flight regime, the stalling speed way back at around about 100 knots. And taxiing out onto the runway is the Chipmunk, followed by the helicopters of Airborne Now, the Army Historic Flight. This is the flight base from Middle Wallop down the Green out towards Boston. They stand up, get ready for their operations every spring, fly to the end of the summer, and then they put them away safely in the hangar and do the maintenance and work. And it is quite a complex procedure that has to take place. Completely different type of aerobatics that you saw in the blades. This is a sort of aerobatics to higher level you can go on to.
Like I said, we have two teams in the Red Devils, consisting of 8-man jump teams, but today we have a 9-man jump team. In each team, we have a jump master who is responsible to ensure the display is carried out safely and in accordance with the British Parachute Association. Shortly, you will be able to see smoke coming out of the back of the aircraft. Don't worry, this is not the plane on fire. This is one of the jumpers actually coming outside to prepare to jump out of the aeroplane. And if you look at the side of the sky now, you can actually see the smoke coming out the back of the aircraft. And there they go. In free fall, they can reach up to 120 miles an hour and move in any direction with their bodies deflecting the air in the sky. There you can see 1 parachute, there's 2 parachutes, there's 3, 4, 5. A 6, a 7, an 8, and 9. As you can see, they have the smoke coming out of the feet on the actual display. As you can see now, coming into the arena, is going to be one of the first members of the team. If you could give him a big round of applause when he does land. And the first person coming into land is the jump master, Jay Webster from the 1st Battalion Parachute Regiment. If you now could give him a round of applause. If you look into the sky now, you can see some parachutes with flags. You'll see the Union Jack, which today is a big 2,000 square foot flag. Also, one of our major sponsors, Cameron. And as well, the main book of our flags is the Parachute Regiment flag. And here comes the second member of the team, which is Major Paul Blair. If you give him a round of applause. And the third person with the Cameron flag is Lance Corporal John Woods from the 1st Battalion. Can you give him a round of applause now? And the fourth is Corporal Dan Smith from the 2nd Battalion with the Red Devils flag. If you look into the sky now, you can see 3 parachutes attached to each other. This is what we call a controlled collision. In other words, a canopy formation. Following them is the cameraman. This is what we call normally a canopy formation. And following them is a 2,000 square foot flag, the Union Jack. You can see the 3 parachutes now are coming to the ground in a very fast formation. In a few seconds, they will split, and if you can give them a round of applause. Give a round of applause now to Lance Corporal Danny Wood, from Lance Corporal Kelly, with Lance Corporal Jimmy Pace, and Lance Corporal Foster. And coming in with the big Union Jack flag is Lance Corporal Phil Webley from the 3rd Battalion Parachute Regiment. If you give a round of applause.
By unreliable, underpowered engines. The petrol engine itself had only been around for about 20, 30 years when the war broke out. The pistol had a pot shot to the bloke. Their aircraft were above 20,000 feet without oxygen. Mass air battles, the dogfights started.
I am Flight Lieutenant John Walmsley. I'll be your commentator. The aircraft today is flown by Wing Commander Lee Turner, Lieutenant Jay Berry, our Royal Navy Exchange Officer, Flight Sergeant Mick Fry and Sergeant Chris Campbell. We're supported today by the Joint Helicopter Support Squadron, who are also based at RAF Odium, and a tri-service outfit as well. They do a lot of our load rigging for us, and we'll have rigged the loads up at Odium prior to coming here, and now you can see that they're making their way to the vehicle to unrig the load as it's just been left. This is the quickest and most efficient way of deplaning troops and freight from the aircraft. Once it's lowered, as you can see, when one Land Rover is not enough, the aircraft can also carry a second internally if required. The Chinook is in fact capable of carrying numerous vehicle types in this fashion, enabled by the unique tandem rotor design, which allows for a large uncluttered cabin area within which to load freight. And of course, its enormous power enables the carriage of such loads. As the vehicle speeds off to meet up with its companions, the crew will lift off once again and position once more for a hard turn to run in for a demonstration of the work carried out by the casualty evacuation aircraft in Afghanistan. Making a fast and low approach to avoid enemy fire with an aggressive turn to position for the casualty. Flight Sergeant Meg Fry has now detached the rope and the aircraft climbs away and readying itself for another positioning turn to come back in for its final manoeuvre. On behalf of the team this year, I hope you've enjoyed the show and we wish you a very good weekend. Thank you very much.
John, thank you very much indeed, certainly showing the vast versatility of this is a very dynamic display. We have up to 7,000 feet available for the display above us at Farnborough. Normally we only have 3,400 feet, but we've nicked a bit of airspace from London TMA and Heathrow for this display. Well, the whole show actually. Current production for the United States Navy, the single-seat version, 2-seat F model. Shortly you're going to hear and feel the vibration and the shudder. Negative angles of attack. Total 11 weapon stations available in Super Hornet. A typical loadout for self-escort mission might start with, well, I don't know, an advanced infrared target pod, maybe an AMRAAM, a couple of sidewinders, maybe an external full tank, but still leaving 6 underwing weapon stations available to carry a variety of weapons and other payloads. They can carry smart weapons, including laser-guided bombs, squared off. Extremely sturdy landing gear on this aircraft allows the Super Hornet to operate day and night from aircraft carriers at sea and from rugged, wet runways or in extreme crosswinds. There you are, on. Oomph. Low mucking about there. And then when the battle moved a bit further on to the southeast of England, over the counties of Kent and Essex, then of course anybody who jumps out is going to be landing on our territory. In the Mark 9, Rats in the 16. Two very different Spitfires. They will come in to take the arena. the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Thank goodness for that.
Good check. Okay. Nice.
And how much the world has moved on. So late, coming in closer, behind you. Probably hear them now. The arrival from the Royal Air Force, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. The rudder and the all-moving four blades located just below the windscreen, all give the manoeuvrability, controlled by full authority. A quadruplex fly-by-wire control system provides carefree handling throughout the entire flight envelope. Positioning now to roll inverted from long inverted pass down the runway. EJ200s, 39,000 pounds of dry thrust, over 20,000 pounds. Then the airspace gets given back to London Airways. We've got to get the helicopters in and out before the Reds display. So we try and keep as much as we can on schedule.
It's got his wing out there.
Braking chute of Typhoon. He's going down to the other end. Helicopter just coming in. Where the blades are to, it doesn't tell me here. They will be back later on.
I'll probably see him from over here as well. Come on.
Is it when's the Vulcan?
Including Red 10 here, plus loads of others that have been doing all sorts of other things on the airfield.
There are far too many of us around.
It's all over like a rash, isn't it?
You'll be well and truly fed up with us by the end of the day.
No, certainly not. I mean, it's fantastic to see everybody here. Growing back north, squadron leader growing back north.
Get a taste of what is available, but you get to do things that you wouldn't otherwise normally be able to do. There's plenty of adventurous training available. There's also flying experience to be had on air experience flights around the country. Well, I think from that you can hear the enthusiasm in the pilots' voices as they get ready to roll down the runway here at the Farnborough International Air Display of 2010.
Just in time.
No, I'll keep an eye over there.
Text you as well, saying it's
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Reds are airborne. The privilege for the Red Arrows to represent the wider Royal Air Force. The Royal Air Force of 2010 is a particularly operationally experienced Air Force, as we've been on continuous operations now since the early 1990s. All of the pilots on the team, and that includes me, have seen operational service in one form or another. Many of us have served in Afghanistan, supporting troops there. So the Royal Air Force of 2010 is an operational and operationally experienced Air Force. When it's an amateur formation, one or more of the aircraft sits in a position which is not its normal position. And in this case, Reds 6 and 7 sit one position closer to the leader than they would do normally, and that facilitates the start of the display. And it's a big battle now in towards us. We're getting ready to start the display here this wonderful Saturday afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, as they run in for the show, the very patriotic red, white and blue smoke comes on as I introduce you to the 2010 Red Arrows. Highest man as we look at them in the formation is Red 9. He's out on the far left wingtip. Red 9 has a particularly difficult job in this position. Red 9 is Flight Lieutenant Simon Ray, known on the team as Kermit, because apparently he sounds like Kermit on the radio. And he's formerly from New Zealand. He served with the Royal New Zealand Air Force flying Skyhawks originally, and joined the RAF in 2002 where he flew the Harrier GR7 and GR9. Kermit then is also a very operationally experienced pilot, and we're working particularly hard here as you watch the cranked arrow roll. Kermit, who's on the very inside, the lowest man as we look at them, is using lots of rudder here, which is right back on the power as they fly this very difficult formation. You can see the red, white and blue smoke is on. We are a very proud British and patriotic team. And our character comes through in the smoke colours of this manoeuvre. Now the man at the bottom of this formation with the red smoke out on the right wingtip is Red 4, Flight Lieutenant Dave Davis. So ladies and gentlemen, with the red, white and blue smoke on, this is the victory roll. This is the Red Arrows. Heartfelt thanks.
Sometimes I've seen a white heart and a red heart. When do they make that mind up? How do they do that?
Well, they actually rely on me for the colour. I have a speaking part during the display. I will look at the background of the cloud. Today it was kind of white around about the time they were going to do the heart, so I briefed them that they would fly a red heart, which stands out better against a white background. Had they done it now, I perhaps might have said a white one, but it's just what we see in the background at the time.
And you've got to time that call exactly right, because you don't want to interfere with somebody else's call, do you?
No, that's right. One of my jobs is to learn when not to speak on the radio to the pilots, because as you've heard throughout this time, at the appropriate points in the display.
Well, a magnificent display, so thank you very much. You know what time you're displaying tomorrow?
Yeah, it's 12:30 tomorrow. We are opening the show.
Opening the show?
And later on that day we'll be departing to go to Sunderland for a display there.
Well, Sean, welcome to the commentary position here. Thank you. You have a love affair with this aircraft. And how extraordinary that the wonderful team at Avro, led by Roy Chadwick, should have advanced so rapidly to get from one of these aircraft to the other in such a short time. Sad to say, of course, he himself, the great Roy Chadwick, died before the Vulcan flew. But his legacy is quite extraordinary. So this is the one and only flying Vulcan. It's the only Vulcan that will ever fly again. We hope it'll be with us for a few more years yet. But look to your right, and there is the Lancaster. Get ready to catch that picture.
Did you catch the picture?
Well, I think that might have made a few camera shutters go there. You can see this whole battery of flashlights going off down the crowd line. Amazing.
So, a lovely combined picture. And we're rounding off the show today, the whole show, which has been an absolutely magnificent day. I really do congratulate Farnborough and Strat. You've done an absolutely sterling job there, you and Mark.
Well, approaching the Lancaster downwind.
What an absolutely lovely occasion, because of course the extraordinary thing is Phil O'Dell, pod to his mates. He's also the Rolls-Royce chief test pilot. And the third man in the crew today is the air electronics officer, Phil Davies. He sits behind the pilots, facing backwards, and he runs, he's a bit like a flight engineer, but he's an AEO, and he runs the electrics of this, often known as the electric bomber. Isn't that just stunning? She flies. She retired from Royal Air Force service in 1993. She was the last aircraft, the last Vulcan to fly. She was doing the display flying up until 1992, and then she left the Air Force, and she was going to be scrapped, or she was going to go to a museum. Enter Dr. Robert Fleming. He describes Vulcan as the last complete triumph in the long history of innovative British aeronautical engineering, because of course we really don't build, we build very few whole aircraft in this country anymore. And he put together this Vulcan to the Sky Trust. And there you heard the unique howl again. Now, if you want to know more about Vulcan, there's a website, vulcantotheskytrust.org, Vulcan to the Sky, all that word, .org. If you wanted to contribute money right now, you could get your mobile phone out and text the word Vulcan, V-U-L-C-A-N. Martin Withers is the Vulcan chief pilot, down to the Falkland Islands and back. It was as far from here as from here to Santiago in southern Chile. There are the air brakes out, top and bottom of the wing. Lovely smooth landing. Kissing down onto the runway, keeping the nose high as she goes past you down at the left-hand end. Give her a big wave, give her a big cheer.
What a photo that would have been.
Spirit of breakthrough. That's it. Strat. Thank you for having us.
Any rubbish you'd like us to take, or you take?
Thank you for coming along with the Vulcan.